Good morning. Sorry, my screen is a little tiny right now, so I couldn't see how many people are actually in the room. So we are a group of team here from Schenectady City Schools, Jackie and Kurt and Elizabeth and myself from Albany, and Julian is also joining us, hopefully in a minute. Welcome. I hope you guys enjoy the keynote from the CSDF friends here. Maybe we'll get started now just by introducing ourselves. Myself first, maybe. My name is Li Junni from University at Albany, SUNY in Albany. I'm a computer science education researcher, but I have the privilege to working with CSTA in a project to support our CSDA chapters. I also have been working with lots of great teachers in our area since 2005-ish. So I'm so glad today we have Jackie and Kurt, our teacher and our school administrator, join us as well. Jackie and Kurt, would you introduce yourself?
I'll go first. I'm Jackie Rowan. I'm a 7th grade technology teacher in Schenectady, New York. And I've been doing this particular program for 3 years now. 2 years. 2 years in the classroom, 3 years total. That's it. Kurt, all you.
Good morning. My name's Kurt Redman. I work in our Office of Teaching and Learning in Schenectady, and I oversee our career and technical education programs and other secondary programming. I am excited. I was actually in Schenectady as part of the original idea around this program. Then I left the district for a couple of years, but I have returned and glad to see it flourishing and happy to be back a part of the CS Pathways program.
And Elizabeth, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Elizabeth Thomas Capello, and I'm a researcher with the CS Pathways Project. We seem to be having a weather event that may be coming up our way, and my internet is a little bit spotty. So I am sharing my screen. If anyone can just give me a shout out if I've been lost, and then I'll get right back in. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry for the internet problem. I think we have a little problem here with the internet. Yes. So, Liz, would you move to the next slide, please? Yes. So today we're going to share some one of our project's curriculum, which called CS Pathways here, and we also have Jackie will share her experience. She has been on the project in the past 3 years, and also Kurt will share a little bit of his perspective from the district level, and Julie and Liz will also introducing how the curriculum looks like and how the curriculum has been implemented in other districts as well. And hopefully we'll have a few minutes to discuss and share a little more about what we can follow up with you too. Next slide, please. So I'll just give a very quick overview about the project. So this is a 3-year project. We are ending to the no-cost extension to the 4th year. It's a research practice partnership, which is building strongly and a close partnership between 3 districts, including Schenectady, Lowell, and Massillon in Massachusetts, and 2 universities, Albany and UMass Lowell. Like we have heard yesterday from our keynote, it's very important to build the partnership and work closely with our teachers, our practitioners, administrators, with researchers together. So the goal of our project is to establish a inclusive and sustainable middle school computer science and digital literacy curriculum. And hopefully we can reach out to all the middle school students. Like Leanne pointed yesterday, So we are hoping the curriculum is integrated in the daily classroom. It's not something optional. It's not something only a small group of students can get access. So the curriculum actually is focusing on having students building apps that is something relevant to themselves, like something connected to their personal interest in their life experience, their schools, their classroom, or even the bigger community, the bigger society there. So we call it something called more culturally relevant apps or socially useful mobile apps. We're going to introduce a little bit later about how the curriculum will be laid out, but I want to highlight here. As I mentioned earlier, this is a partnership between our schools and the researchers. So the whole curriculum was designed and pilot, with a bigger contribution from our teachers. Jackie is one of our teacher leaders, has been working with us in the past 2 years, the process of designing, revising the curriculum. And also we got lots of advice, inputs from our district leads as well. So we call it a co-designed CS pathway curriculum. And I think next, this will share a lot more about our curriculum.
Hello, thank you so much. Yes, so the CS Pathways curriculum is approximately 18 hours with 5 units divided up anywhere from 2 to 6 modules per unit. So within the 18 hours that it would take maybe a classroom teacher to complete that, just a quick overview of the specific units. We start off with Unit 1, Computer Science, and we introduce the concept of apps for social good. Jillian, who is, I believe, trying to get in, she is a little bit south of us, and I think the weather is quite an issue with the developments that have happened this week. That's her calling right now. Poor Jillian. I'm so sorry. So we introduced the concept of the apps for social good. We look at developing the computer science vocabulary and specific concepts. And if you can see between Unit 1 and Unit 4, every single one of the units has what we call an unplugged activity. So the idea of learning computer science concepts without using any kind of digital device. Through our research, we found that this is a really important part of the work as well. So not only are the students getting their education from the app lab interface, but they're also getting experience about really using the problem solving and those unplugged and learning those within these specific units. I know Jackie will speak a little bit more about that as she comes in. Our Unit 2, Why Apps Matter, that is when we get into the App Lab itself. App Lab is within code.org, and our first activity or first work that we do is just getting to know the platform itself. We work in a very easy app, which will show you a couple of examples about that, where the students create buttons and they have apps that flip from screen to screen to screen. I just want to point out number 3, the problem solving. So at the middle school level, the problem solving and the computational thinking concepts are very, very, very important at this particular stage. That allows them to move on to upper level computer science courses. So really focusing on the problem solving is a key part of Unit 2 as well. This is where they also are thinking about the apps that they would like to create and the apps for social good, and the culturally responsive components of the CS Pathways work is introduced, and the students can start some research work with that. Unit 3, we get into, we have 2 core units of computer science concepts. One is the introduction to variables, and I'll show you a couple of an example of a variable app, and what we teach our teachers during our professional learning is to really use the App Lab interface in order to develop what we would call kind of a quiz app. And in our Unit 4, we get into a little more higher level computer science concepts, and they really have developed at this point probably 2 more apps. And with their final app, they really can work with the culturally responsive component and developing apps for social good and really bringing in those areas into their own work. So the final Unit 5, our app completion and presentation, is really a wonderful showcase of all of the work that the students have done. We found that this is a really excellent place for the students to share their work and the teachers to really be excited about the accomplishments that they have done with this, with their projects. And I think Jackie will be sharing a little bit more about that. Thank you. I can move on to the next slide.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. I'm currently locating in North Carolina, so we're still having this storm right here. Well, luckily, the last minute I got in. So yeah, I just thank you, Liz, and I'm sorry for calling you bothering you. So yeah, I just want to share with everybody, like Liz just give you guys an overview of our curriculum, and I just want to share like our another unique feature of our curriculum is that our curriculum is embedded with some culturally responsive pedagogy component. So when we co-design these project curriculum with our teachers, we're informed by 3 types of culturally responsive pedagogy, which is written in Metkin's book chapter. So these 3 culturally responsive pedagogy practice are connecting with your student culture and life experience, which I believe a lot of teachers has been doing. This including like you help your students to connect with either their school or their social community, help them identify their social identity and their personal interest, and also use their culture assets as a knowledge that you can use in the classroom. And the next practice is empowering students to become a change agent. I know this is, some teachers think it's a sensitive topic to some of the teachers to discuss in the classroom, but we do have some teachers successfully did this in the classroom, which I will share a couple case examples later. So basically this encourage your teachers, so just encourage you guys to develop some critical discussions with your students to make them think about what possibly they can help to make a difference of the society. And then the next is fostering the relationship with students and family, which this requires teachers to connect with your student family and their culture, not only in the classroom setting, but also in the informal setting. Let's say you can do a project-based assignment to bring the students' families into the project, to have them work together to kind of introduce their culture and their community. So yeah, rooting our culturally, based on this practice, so our curriculum, we provided a long list of resources that's showing the culturally responsive components. And so for example, we have sharing the social justice education resources. We also have the examples of how you establish either an online or offline culturally responsive classroom. So yeah, rooting our curriculum in this pedagogy, it kind of engage our students and make them to be able to learn computer science in a meaningful way. So yeah, that's so far. These are the overview about our curriculum, and now we're gonna have Liz show some of the examples of our teachers' app that they made during our professional learning session.
Thank you so much, Jillian. Great job, and I'm so glad that you got in. Wonderful. So just a quick share, and please let me know if I'm not sharing the entire component of this. I just want to show you a couple of our teacher apps and that were created. So these specific apps I'd like to show you 2. from civics teachers. Anybody who is in the room right now, I'm not able, you are, but if you would like to grab this app, slow, I hope you can hear me. Okay. All right. So students' view of this, and if there is any kind of a presentation, it will immediately pop into this. But what I'd like to show you right now is our code view. And what we have here, so I'll just do a quick run. This may be small on the screen. If I click on the start button, we can move into specific elements and then click back and forth to the app. So this is an example of one of the first apps that would be created, and that there is just a very simple component of moving from screen to screen to screen. So if we go into the design component, the students work within this app lab, which is a JavaScript-based, work. Code.org has developed this drag and drop system that is completely based on JavaScript. So if I go into the design, we can see on my home screen, and I have various screens that are here. If I click on a specific element within my home screen, I can see that I am calling this ID clip art. I've got a screenshot. I can choose specific images. The students have a great deal of freedom in order to design and create what they would like with their own work. This particular button is what I'd like to show you. This click to start. These buttons are functionality within the app lab. So I have my start button, and this will move me to a new screen. It may be quite small on your screen, but at least you can get an idea. And please feel free to play around with any of these apps. The second app that I would like to show you is based, I believe this is the Miranda Bill of Rights. Okay. And let me show in the code in this one. This would be based on our Unit 3. The app that I just showed you is based on Unit 2. And sorry for the delay in this coming up. I apologize. I believe we're experiencing weather our area. So I do apologize for this. Oh, here we go. I don't want to reload. Okay. All right. Okay, perfect. Great. So if I have these components here, I want to show you the code with this. So this would be within our Unit 3, and hopefully you can see this a little bit. And if you would, just notice the variables that have been created. So this is a scoring app, and what will happen is specific points will be scored or either subtracted if answers are correct. So this app really serves to not only quiz students on specific components of the civics curriculum, but it also allows them to think outside about educating the wider classroom community about this very important topic. So if we start, they'll choose, we'll say no, and we have a sound effect which may come through or may not. So we have our final score. Click for the final score, and final score is 14. So this allows the students to learn specific components about variables in a low level that isn't too intense, but really introduces that key concept. So could I ask if there's any specific questions before I move from these pages? Would that be okay, Dr. Nee?
I didn't see any question in the chat, but I
Okay.
did share
Okay,
the
great.
links to our slides.
Oh,
and
thank you.
The first two apps you just demonstrate
Okay.
in the chat.
Thank you very much. Okay. The other apps are from a STEM teacher, and I would like Jackie will be sharing a little bit more about what that looks like. Please feel free to click the remix button. I'll show you right here. You can remix any of these apps at any point and play around a little bit more. Thank you so much. So I believe Jackie will share a little bit about some work that she's done, and she's going to share an unplugged activity that's been successful with her classroom.
Thanks, Liz. I start out my coding unit with my kids by using this unplugged activity, and I do the unit sprinkled throughout my regular curriculum. So I don't take like a full however many weeks and do it all at once. I integrate it into what I'm doing throughout the school year. So I get the kids started with thinking about coding and how they need to be explicit in their code and commands by doing this unplugged activity, which makes a huge mess, is hysterically funny for the kids, and gets them super excited. So what I do is I tell them that I'm a peanut butter and jelly making machine, and they need to give me instructions. And then I take the instructions and I do them literally how they're written with I have a huge jar of peanut butter, I have a huge jar of jelly, I have like 8 loaves of bread. And one note before I move on is I go to the nurse before I do this activity, and I find out who has peanut allergies, and our nurse is nice enough to call all the parents and find out if it's a contact allergy or if it's okay if they sit in the back of the room. If you can't use peanut butter, there are other, options of what you can use. So the kids write down their instructions, and then I have a helper who reads the instructions, and they don't understand. They say like, take bread, put peanut butter on bread, put jelly on bread, eat. So take bread. Sometimes I'll rip the bag of bread open and bread will go flying everywhere. Put peanut butter on bread. I'll put the jar to sit right on the loaf of bread, and they'll start screaming, no, you need to open the jar of bread or of the jar of peanut butter. And of course, then I'm like banging the jar on the table. So they say, no, you have to unscrew. So what it does is it shows them that when you're giving commands to a computer, it can't read between the lines. Nothing is implied. You have to be very explicit, and every single tiny little step has to be given to the computer in order for it to do what you want it to do. So it's a fun activity for the kids. It's messy. They love it. It gets a little chaotic, but it gets the point across. I put a link to an example in the slideshow. If somebody can put that in the chat. It's just this YouTube video I found that was a dad doing this with 2 small kids, and it's very funny, and it kind of a good example. So I think we're ready to move on to the next slide. So in order to begin the whole culturally responsive component of the coding or the CS pathways at the beginning of the school year, and and actually this was a happy accident. As a getting to know exercise with the kids, I have them create a vision board, which is one single slide in a slide deck with the rest of their class, where they answer questions about themselves, where they'd like to be by the end of the school year, what do they consider their community, what role they play in their community, what problems they'd like to solve in general. And I use it the first week of school to get to know my students, and the kids can get to know each other that way. We do some like scavenger hunt activities. It's sitting in my Google Classroom. So if somebody wants to find out information about another kid, they can go in there and look, and it's all very, they like it, and it's not, abused in any way with, making fun of kids or anything like that. It's just a really nice way to get to know each other. But later on, during our coding, when we get to the end of the CS Pathways curriculum and they're creating their culturally responsive app, I can link it back to the beginning of the school year and say to them, look back at your vision board. This is what you considered your community. Do you still consider this community? What has changed? Your community, what has changed? And some of them, they have a different set of friends, or they got involved in an activity after school that they now consider to be their community. So it's just a way to carry it through the whole project into the end, where they need to create something culturally responsive. Next slide. Thank you. So for me, a lot of people think that because I teach technology, and actually this year I'm teaching information technology, it's easier to integrate computer science into my curriculum. But it can really be used with any sort of a research component of any curriculum. I have my kids at the, earlier in the school year, they're assigned an inventor or an inventor, and then they choose one of their inventions. And it's not so much assigned as I let them choose. I've got a very large list of inventors and inventions that they can pick from. I've got women inventors. I've got, inventors of color. There's a big number of inventors. So what I do is I have them do all the research of who invented it, why they invented it, when they invented it, its impact on society, what it is, like explaining what this invention is. And then I have them stop. So they have all their research done. And then we go in and we start doing intro to App Lab. So this is the first time they're actually getting into code.org and doing any sort of coding. So we do it in chunks. And I find that if you just tell them to do the whole intro to App Lab tutorial, it's very overwhelming. So what I do with them is, and you can see in the slide, it's broken down into parts. And so what I do is we always watch the beginning video for each of these sections together. And then, so we watch the setting properties video together. We have a little discussion about it. And then I set them to work on the different components. And each of these sections, the diamond is a video. So we watch it together, we talk, and then the students work on the circles that are after it. And then I can walk around and I can check in with them. And if people were struggling, I can pull the class back together and we can discuss it. I can show them on the projector, and then we move on. So once they've completed Intro to App Lab, they're going to build their first app on their own. And this is where they go back to their research on their invention, and they create an app that's very simple. It has an opening screen with 5 buttons on it, what the invention is, who invented it, why they invented it, when they invented it, and its impact on society. Each of those buttons take them to takes the user to another screen that answers that question. They have to have a back button to go back to the main screen so that they can choose another button. And it's a very simple app, but they get super excited that they've created an app and that they've been successful. And it's a really good way to get them excited about coding because it's simple and they are successful with it. Next slide. So these are just two examples of opening pages. Well, actually, the one on the left is Who Invented It screen from the woman who invented Kevlar. And the other one is the opening screen for George Washington Carver's Jessup wagon. So the history of technology is an important concept with the middle school students. They have this idea that technology began with like the first cell phone or the first computer. And so, we go all the way back to the Stone Age and we talk about all the history of technology. And so the inventors lists that I use is broad. It's very wide. It can be stuff from the 1700s. It can be more modern, and it gets them, excited about technology and realizing the diversity of inventors, which is part of the culturally responsive stuff. I finish my coding unit with their culturally responsive app. So it doesn't necessarily happen where they build their inventor app and then the next week they start another app. We go off, we do other things. We may build bridges, we may do robotics, and then we come back to coding. And part of the reason why I do it this way is that I'm trying to have them understand that app building is a tool. They can build an app and use it as a tool instead of like a PowerPoint, when they're asked to put together a presentation, it's another tool in their toolbox. So I like to sprinkle it throughout the curriculum. But the final app that they build is, we go back into code.org and I introduced variables and conditionals. I start with unplugged activities. One of the examples I use is when I'm teaching conditionals, I have the kids standing against one wall of my classroom and I give the command, walk to the other side of the room. If there is furniture, climb over it. When you get to the wall, stop. And it teaches them these variables. And so once they've got a handle on the variables and the conditionals, and I actually also use some of the express course lessons that are in code.org. They have some fun, short, one class period lessons that, teach how to code the variables or how to use the loops and the conditionals. And they're fun. They have like Angry Birds and zombies and things like that. And the kids like to do these. So once they've got a handle on the variables and the conditionals, we start our culturally responsive app. This past school year, I had the kids build BuzzFeed quizzes. And if you don't know what a BuzzFeed quiz is, middle schoolers love these. It's things like choose your favorite fashions and we'll tell you which Hollywood icon you'll marry. Choose these, home styles and we'll tell you what country you should live in. There's Hogwarts ones. So the kids really like to build these quizzes for their community, their friends, or their theater group. I had one kid who did a BuzzFeed quiz where you chose your favorite ice cream flavors and it told you what musical you would star in. And it was she specifically did it for her theater group to share with her friends in her theater group, which she considers her community. So, the cultural responsiveness in this is they're doing something that entertains and gives joy to their community. So, and I think, okay. After each app that my students build, I would have an app fair. And sometimes we would invite another classroom to join our app fair. And what I have them do is they bring up the app that they built, they share it to their own Chromebook. And so you see the app in the middle of their Chromebook. And then the students can walk around the classroom and try each other's apps. And they love it. They love to see other people's work. They like to, critique them, and which goes very, very well. They take it very seriously. Each student has a notepad next to their Chromebook. And after you've tried a student's app, you leave a positive comment, and then you leave a comment about an area that could be improved on. So I really liked the way your app brought me, to this screen or that screen. There were comments about your font was too small. I had a hard time reading it. You might want to change your colors because it made it hard to read. They take the critiquing very, very seriously, which for middle schoolers is kind of surprising. But they respond really well to it. At the end of the app fair, they've got a nice stack of comments. Some of them like to go back in and make the changes that were recommended. They, like to talk to each other about what, their critiquing said, and they learn from it. And that's the goal here. So.
All right. I think it's my turn now. So really, really here, I just wanted to speak to where this fits into our middle school program. One of our district goals with getting involved in this program was to make sure that every student in the district in middle school had a chance for this exposure. And, when we were looking at it, technology is a natural fit in some ways. But not all of our technology teachers had the skill set that Jackie was bringing to the table in order to offer this. Along with that, we were facing issues that I know a lot of districts around the state have faced with just not being able to find certified family and consumer science and technology teachers to teach in our middle school program. So we made the switch to a CTE model in the middle school, and are aligning courses to our pathways at the high school. This has helped us with teacher recruitment. We've been able to have a wider range of teachers applying for our positions, and it allows us to utilize teacher strengths so that teachers like Jackie can take projects like this and roll with it, the coding for our students. So where we sort of ended at this point, every seventh grader in the district has a half-year information technology course, and that's where the CS Pathways curriculum is lying. So at this point, every seventh grader is going to get a chance to do this app builder curriculum, to have those experiences, which is great to give them those experiences. And also is great, I noticed Stephanie Young, one of our high school computer science teachers, was in the audience here. But I think in the next couple of years, she's going to start to see the benefit with enrollment and students coming to her with more skills at the high school as well, because they have these experiences. So really, that's where the best fit was for us. It may look a little bit different depending on an individual school's how you're scheduling technology, how you're scheduling some other things. But we really found the fit in CTE. I'm thrilled that computer science is becoming a CTE area in New York. So that's going to also help us both at the middle school and high school levels.
So we're going to have, actually time is limited, so we're going to have Elizabeth to share some of the resources of our curriculum. So could you go down the slides? Yeah, because she has another presentation to do. Yeah.
Oh, sure. It'll be okay. So I just wanted to share for anybody that's interested, we do have a Google Classroom. We are always putting resources in there and refining that and making the experience a little better for our teachers. I'm not logged in right now, but here is our join code for this. And please feel free to use any of those resources that may be there for you. We do have a website that is currently being worked on. But if there's any teachers out there that would love to hear a little bit more about this, or would specifically like possibly some kind of professional learning experience for their own district, or would like to see how that might look for other teachers in your building, or just would like to hear more about our project, please complete this form and we will absolutely get back to you. If you are interested in a future professional development, professional learning experience, we can, if you could get a little bit more detail with us about, are you interested in after school or any summer or any type of recordings, what would be the best fit for you? So we're very excited to share this with you today, and look forward to any feedback or any interest that we can provide you further. Thank you so much. Jillian, do you want me to go back to the slide? I'll stay in chair. I'm good.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So thank you everybody for sharing this. I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about like what's the possible like implementation for some other subject area teachers. So we have a kind of universal pattern of implementing the curriculum. This is from the experience of our teachers that we see them doing at the beginning of the semester, doing like some unplugged activity, like some audience already get interested in the peanut butter and jelly activity. And also at the beginning, they will use 1 or 2 sessions to introduce this app lab, have students go through the tutorial, and then like what Jackie did to do a simple app. And so we have some our civic teachers that have students to do a problem-based, like applied problem-based pedagogy that use the curriculum. They ask students to do a community project to identify the issue in the community and apply some civic knowledge in solving the problem. So his class is very, very successful. I will show you guys a little bit of the student app in the next slides, or you can explore it yourself. And also the science teacher, she did a project-based pedagogy. She kind of throw a topic. It's ask a student to make a environmental apps that ask the students to investigate some topics about to help people to be aware of the environment. So she asked the students to investigate about recycling, conservation, like environmental saving, this type of topic, and then have the students to kind of make an app. So her students make a variety of apps. They have the apps such as like some informational, survey, and even games to help students to get the people get the awareness of like recycling. And the STEM teacher, she applied this curriculum in a lower grade, in 6th grade. So basically just help students to identify their social identity. So some students make an autobiography app that's introduced the family. So because of confidentiality, I could not show those apps to you guys. And then all of the teachers did this final project, the app showcase, well, just to get students more engaged and more motivated to do this. So the next slides, please. And we did a really quick survey about students, the CRP app topics, and we collected 96 apps, and there's a question in the chat. So those apps are, some of them are individual work, and some of them are group works. So in total, we collected 96 apps. So we kind of, I analyzed the topic that they're interested in doing. So personal interest is still top one. Like a student want to introduce their favorite K-pop stars or some trivia questions like that. But we also have students get aware of like something that concern to their life. So for example, one of the teachers shared with us that one student's going through some stress therapy. So she wants to help people have the same like stress and anxiety. So she developed an app, contains a lot of techniques that helps people to relieve the stress. And also we have, like I mentioned, we have the game app that have students to do, it's a game that you decide what are the things that need to be recycled, what are the things that are the trash. So yeah, I have some examples in the slides that you can click through. So these students are really creative and really amazing. So I think that's all for today's presentation, and we would love to answer some questions. I see one of the questions in the chat ask about Jackie's peanut butter jelly. The lesson plan, it is in our curriculum that we share with you guys, the Google Classroom. And yes, the website, the curriculum website right now is still under construction. So we will send you, you can leave your information in the Google form, and we will send you the link, the website link, after we have everything completed. And I see there's another question in the Q&A, ask about, is this our session? JavaScript and gaming using code.org. I'm a business teacher implementing it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we have our civic teachers think about like the classes like a business model. Throw a problem, a group of students work together to solve the problem and present their solutions in an app. So that is really amazing. So I think that model you could apply in your classroom too. So, and it's also from Susan, ask about, do all of our 7th graders take the courses? Like I said, it depends on the teachers. We give teacher full autonomy to decide what class that they want to apply this for. So some of the teachers, they even do is 5th grade, but the concept they want to teach is simpler, like maybe not going to the variable conditionals, but stay at the basic app level. But they also integrate some culturally responsive parts, which is very successful, have students make those apps. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think we are about run out of time a little bit. Yeah. Thank you everybody for your attention, and thank you our team together to share our work. If you have any further questions, or if you're interested in the curriculum, or you want to attend a PD with Liz, she's wonderful. She can do a lot of things with you together. Feel free to fill in the interest form. That's on the almost the last slide issue. You can find that, or you can email us if you have problem joining the Google Classroom. I think there's still maybe one or two teachers have issues with the Google Classroom. We can help you with that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.